Yates County and beyond. Welcome back to another episode of Invasive Species Friday. Through this short weekly podcast, we at the Yates CCE hope to bring you information about the invasive species you may see around this county. Let's get back in the shallows with this week's invasive, flowering rush. First discovered in North America near Montreal, in the St. Lawrence River in 1897, flowering rush is originally from Europe and Western Asia. It was introduced to the continent in two ways: unintentionally through contaminated ballast water, and escape from ornamental water gardens. The aquatic plant is now found in all Canadian provinces and most of the northern half of the U.S. In New York, it's been recorded in at least 20 counties, including along the eastern edge of Yates County in the Keuka Lake Outlet. Flowering rush prefers the slow-moving margins of wetlands, lakes, and streams to a depth of almost 10 feet. It's usually an emergent perennial, so the leaves, which grow out of the water, die off in the fall, and the roots, which are firmly attached to the substrate, go dormant in the winter. In deeper water, the plant will survive submerged, but will not produce flowers. When the emergent form flowers in early summer to mid-fall, the 20 to 30 blooms are arranged in clusters or umbels on a flower stalk. Each flower has 3 pink petals and 3 sepals. The populations of flowering rush in the eastern U.S. can produce viable seeds that float, aiding in the spread of the plant, which also reproduces from rhizomes and bulbils. Many populations in other areas of the United States are sterile and will reproduce only by vegetative spread. Though the leaves of the plant resemble a sedge or a rush, the flowering rush is actually neither and is the only species in its family. When not flowering, it's difficult to distinguish from native grasses, sedges, and rushes. The plant's sword-shaped leaves can reach over 3 feet long and are triangular in cross-section and twisted towards the top. Hard-stemmed bulrush leaves are slender and V-shaped, with a sheath that is reddish at the base. The flowering rush leaves are also spongier and rebound when pressed, unlike the bulrushes. The cross-section of the lake sedge leaves is M-shaped, and they are wrapped at the base with a reddish or purple fibrous sheath. The leaves themselves are grayish-blue to green in color. Giant burrweed has flat leaves that are strongly keeled or ribbed. The flower stem of the sweet flag is triangular, like the leaves of the flowering rush, but the leaves of the sweet flag are more similar to iris or cattail. When they are crushed or broken, they give off a pleasant citrusy fragrance. Their leaves also have a prominent off-center midrib, and as they mature, one side of the leaf becomes wavy or crimped. When flowering rush is given space, it is quick to spread and often displaces native vegetation. If it becomes a dense monoculture, it reduces biodiversity and negatively impacts fish and wildlife habitats. If flowering rush is allowed to infest irrigation canals, reservoirs, or stormwater management ponds, it often reduces water flow and increases sedimentation due to its growth density. This results in increased maintenance costs. This plant is another aquatic invasive that messes with the nutrient and oxygen levels in water as well, which can lead to algal blooms, increased turbidity, lower water quality, and light restrictions. Finally, the dense plants growing along the shore can limit access to water bodies and interfere with recreational activities. So, what can be done to halt or prevent the spread of this aquatic invasive? Physically removing the plant is possible, but as the plant can spread by floating seeds and bulbils, and rhizomes and root fragments, it's important to take care to remove all parts of the plant. After the material is removed, it should be dried before disposal to prevent new shoots from growing. To reduce abundance of the plant, it should be cut back below the water surface. While this will not kill the plant, it may help reduce the spread of seeds. Care should also be taken to find both emergent and submerged forms when searching for flowering rush. The submerged forms can still reproduce through fragmentation, but if the water level of the area drops so the plant is emergent, it will begin to flower again and produce seeds. Chemical control methods have seen limited success against flowering rush and require several treatments to have an effect. As this invasive is just entering Yates County, the most important thing you can do is report any sightings. This is where prevention is key. We have the chance to stop the spread before it becomes an infestation or before it reaches another lake, but we need your help. Please check out IMAP Invasives, and if you spot flowering brush or any other invasive species on your adventures, report it. And with that, we reach the end of this week's episode of Invasive Species Friday. Next week, we'll be back at the forest edge with a prickly plant. Until then, we at the Yates County CCE thank you for tuning in and supporting our fight against invasive species in Yates County.